Chelsea. Can you hear me? Hopefully you can.
Oops.
This works. Oh, hi.
Oh,
Hi. Welcome to this space. Welcome to this time. It's an honor to be with you and to read for you today. And yeah, I welcome you, all of your humanness. If you need to drink water, if you need to move your body, if you need to sneeze or cough or anything, all of it's welcome here. Nothing distracts from the reading itself. Um, and I guess I just want to start off first. What are your pronouns, Chelsea?
she, her.
She, her. Cool. Awesome. And is this your first time having a reading, or have you had reading like things before? Yeah.
Uh, this is my first time.
Yes, awesome. Okay, cool. Sweet. So yeah, so I'll just share a little bit what you can expect since your first time. A lot of mediums work differently. I tend to allow energy, spirits, guides, ancestors to come through my body, to use my nervous system, my emotions, my mannerisms, whatever it is that they want to speak to you and get across to you. Um, I think of myself as like a puppet. I'm just here to serve and try to translate. Receiving. I never know why I'm saying it or why it's coming through, and I don't need to know as long as it makes sense to you. That's all I care about. So as we go along, I'll check in and be like, does this make sense? Feel free to say yes, it does, or no, I need to hear more. All that does is just allows me that I'm interpreting correctly.
Okay.
And yeah, and then as we go along, I yeah, I'm already feeling a lot, so I'm going to try to stay on track here. It's a little hard. So yeah, so as we go along, I'll make time to towards the end. Of course, if you want to ask questions that weren't answered or things come up, feel free to ask them. And yeah, and I guess yeah, so they're having me get clear on energy. So I just want to ask you, what type of reading you were wanting today, before we get started. You don't have to tell me anything about it, but just the type. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm hoping for mediumship reading.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And I always ask because some people like to say everything, but then everything comes in, and then it's really confusing that all this information and energy is going through, and people, and it's just a lot. So I like to choose a channel and then stick with it, and then see where that takes us. Um, so beautiful. All I'm doing is opening up into what I call like the middle line, middle energy. And those are for spirits that have been earthbound and have sometimes lived in earth, been in earth, and are sometimes close to the earth if they were close to us. So, in that way, I will ask them things that you would know and understand in connection with them. And I often ask them for surprises. So things that haven't happened yet, or things that we will come across after the reading, just to further the validation that this was real and that it happened. At any point, if you feel emotional or shocked or in awe, totally normal. And this is a safe container to feel all that you're feeling in the experience. I will have this recorded so you'll have it to integrate, to digest. It's a lot of information, and most people kind of float away after, and then they have to take a few days to kind of like integrate it all. So you'll have that, and we'll go over that at the end as well.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, so what I'll do is just take a moment and drop into your field, and all I'm doing really is getting quiet enough so I can just answer all the things that I can hear calling me right now. So once I do that, I'll just invite in who wants to step forward first. Might be a few, there might be one, there might be some door openers, is what I call them, spirits that have been here for a long time. But I just allow them to organize. I don't control anything. So
Okay.
I will open myself up, and we'll see who's here first. And then I'll just start talking, and we'll kind of go from there and see where they lead us today.
Okay, awesome.
In your own way, there's nothing you need to do, but just taking a moment, find your breath, find the ground, And just coming open to this experience, this moment here today. So, wow, there's quite a lot of energy here. So I don't even know where I am right now. I just have to say, as soon as I dropped into your field, I could see like there was this giant field surrounding me. And I'm like, I don't even know, I don't dance out in fields or something, but there's like this giant field right away. And then there's this beautiful energy of a woman like in this field. And I can hear this energy, like almost like singing or something. It just feels like so beautiful, so peaceful. I'm like, wow, what is this right now? And I can just feel this like peace that she's at. And this feels really important to bring forward first. Why, I don't know, but this feeling is just like calm and peaceful and like I'm okay. And that feels really, really important to bring forward. As this energy gets closer to me, yeah, it's so funny. She's like taking me to where she is. I usually see them first, but she's actually having me be in this peaceful place. And she says it's important for you to know that she's in this sereneness and this beauty.
Mhm.
Um, and as she comes forward, um, okay. So there's this energy about her that feels like an older woman. And she has characteristics of like I don't want to say old school, but kind of like of a different generation. So she has like an older energy, sort of like a grandmother figure or grandmother type energy emanating from her. Does this make sense to you?
Um, yes, it, yeah, I have two grandmothers who have passed, so I'm not sure.
Okay, that's fine, totally fine. And they'll differentiate as we go along too, but it feels important because she specifically, this grandmother figure feels very much tied to you. And also, there's something she's speaking to about the land, but she makes a reference to being really tied to the ground, the earth, the land, like something with her hands. And like I don't even know what this is. I feel like I'm gardening with her right now, right? like in here gardening. Like I'm like, oh, what is this? She's like, this is this. I'm like, okay, like so I don't know which grandmother this would be. Her hands are in the earth, and she was very involved with the land. How do you understand that?
Um, I'm not sure if I'm because I didn't know what my grandma was like before.
Okay.
But I'm not sure about the earth, the connection to the earth. But it could have been something before, like,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So I just, and again, this might be something like, don't be surprised if you come across this. This is information that comes to you about her life. And the way that she's showing me is the happier times, the times where she loved being again in the garden. I don't know what this is with the garden, but being with like plants and just being with the earth in that way. It was very special to her in her life. And the reason that she wants to bring it forward, she says, is it's something that stirs in you, this connection,
Mhm.
way of connecting with. I don't know why the plants. She keeps pointing at my plants back here, and I'm like, I don't know why I'm pointing at the plants, but this way that I don't know if you feel called or you're kind of curious about it, but like this way that almost the plants or the earth or the natural world calls you, in the same way that it kind of called her. You understand that?
Yeah, I mean, I personally feel really connected when I go out into nature, and I have lots of plants like in
Oh,
my
cool.
house, so I'm like very,
Awesome.
yeah.
Okay, awesome. I would not. I mean, there's no plants behind you, so. But she again, she's laughing. She's like, "That's why I brought it in." Sneaky. Again, just validating the connection that you shared, even though it feels like the timelines were different. So I can see you very little, and then it's like you kind of, there's this separation. So I don't understand what this is, but it's like there's the you being little, and then it feels like the like end of her life. So I'm not sure how you understand that timeline, but she makes me feel like there still was this connection between the two of you, or something that you shared, even if it was brief, it was still meaningful. And that feels really important. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I feel like we had sort of a complicated relationship, or at least she did with my family. But when I was little, we used to spend a lot of time with her, and she lived with us for a little bit.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so there was a period where I felt closer to her. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, at a certain point, that kind of stopped because she got dementia
Yeah.
and Alzheimer's. So and there was just complication, like
Yeah.
family family stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she, again, just validating, she says, that connection, that spark that you shared when you were younger. I don't know why I'm saying that, but it feels important to bring in these aspects of all of these things are true, and the other stuff that felt good was also true. And she's wanting me to name that explicitly. So um yeah, there's something around she's laughing about her personality. She just dropped me into her like body when she was on Earth, and it felt like just very she has a lot of opinions. Like, and she has a lot of like her way of thinking is what I feel in her energy. And just like kind of like situated in like whatever she thought. And kind of her thinking is very, I'm going to say different is what she's saying, and very old school in the way that she thought. So she says that she's been able to actually really see the ways that she limited herself, she said, in the thoughts that she had, or the ways that she saw certain things.
Mhm.
Actually, the judgment that she had around them is not there any longer. And that feels really important for you to know, but also your mother, because she passes this on to her as a way of um oh, just showed me kind of her words coming out of her mouth, and then being really like harmful. Like she's showing me these like little daggers coming out, and being really like, ow, ow, that like really hurt. And her not being aware of her impact on others.
Um, I I I
Okay.
feel like that explains her personality to me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
um yeah, that feels like something that the reason she says she's wanting to come through first is to be able to take accountability for her actions and her words, more importantly, and how they landed and how they affected your mother and others in the family. Um, she she's talking to your mom right now. There's an emphasis around the way that she wished she could have been more tender with her, and the way that she could have held her more and held her heart more.
Yeah.
She says, I kept her at such a length, and there was such a wall around those emotions and around letting myself, she says, be soft or be tender or emotional. She says I was so hard, because I had to be, because I grew up that way. And yet she says I see now that, she says, I missed out on these moments of really coming and closer with everyone from that. She says, God, was I stubborn, Ash? Like, what?
She said I stubborn.
Like, I'm stubborn.
I, she was.
I'm like, hey, we all are. She's like, I was pretty stubborn. She says, I really was immovable in certain ways and certain things. And she says, I see that now, and being on the other side. She says, I also, she says, this feels pointed and directed to your mom again too. She says around the end of her life. So your grandmother is taking me through the end of her life, and um Yeah, there's a lot of confusion. And there's a lot of also like body stuff happening with her too. So I don't know what this is, but she's having me get inside of her body at the end of her life. And I'm having a hard time, like something with my throat or breathing, sort of like a labored breath with my breathing. And then there's also, I'm getting confused and I'm getting angry. So I don't know what exactly this is or what, like, I'm like not myself in some way is what I feel. And then I'm kind of lashing out because she shows me kind of saying things, kind of these like frustrated moods with your mom, that have nothing to do with your mom, but have to do with like her own process of what she was in and what she was experiencing in her body that she couldn't really. I feel like I can't talk or I can't say what's going on with me. Like it's very hard to communicate.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, because she says, I want to be able to take accountability for that. She says, and this specifically, she says to your mom, I don't want you to hold on to the things that I said. I don't want you to carry those with you.
Yeah.
I did
Okay.
not mean to say them. You just had me drop into your mom's body and her heart. And I could just feel this like love and this like, um, this way that um, she shows up and the ways that she gives, like gives and gives. Like I'm not talking about just like one time. Your mom is like giving, like taking a breath and like trying again and like being nice and like offering love and like really trying. And your grandmother says, I want to thank her for that and the ways that she gave grace a lot for me,
Yeah.
even when I really pushed it. Do you understand that?
Um, I think so. I mean, they got pretty distant near the end, and I don't know if there was much communication happening. And then I think that I don't really know exactly what happened when she passed, because yeah, at that point, like our family was, we were just pretty distant. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm not sure, but
Yeah, because it just feels like, again, I don't know. It's like I'm just like going into almost not a coma, but I'm kind of forgetting where I am, who I am, all of these things. And then also the body is following suit because there's something around um, breaking down from this disease and it's just kind of eroding slowly. So, because she shows me also where she's at. I don't know if it's like a home or a hospital bed. Like there's something that she's showing me that she's at and she's just there, and she's like not herself. She feels like she's almost someone else completely entirely. So again, it's important for her to get that across to the family. um and there's also, yeah, there's something, yeah, there, she just showed me the weight, so I don't know what this is, but she said, yeah, there's something around her really tell your mom that she she created her life. Your grandmother created her life the way that she did and she lived it the way that she did, and there's nothing no one could do to stop that.
yeah.
And that feels really really important. So okay. um yeah, so as she's kind of coming to my right hand side, there's another energy of a young male wanting to come forward. Do you understand him? Because he's like really jumpy over here. He's like, I'm like, okay, okay. So as this young male comes forward, I can feel him, wow, quite intensely in my body, in connection with you. And I can feel almost this like sibilingness, like sibling closeness together. Would this be brother? Because it feels really close. Yeah, because he just said brother. And I'm like, brother, okay. He makes me feel so much love for you. First of all, he says, you know, I would come through. He says, you know, I was going to come through. He's like, I just had to say, I had to say grandma first because we got to like warm it up. Okay. He's like, I don't want to scare you out the gate here. That feels important for him as he steps forward. He's so handsome. He's so handsome. He's so handsome. Because he just did this thing where he's like, let me look at him. Like, you look so handsome, man. Like, what are you posing for me or something? What are you?
Oh my God. Wow.
Would that be him? Yeah.
It's a model.
Beautiful. He's got this jaw structure that's just like perfect, like jaw structure. And he shows me, like, I feel like I'm in photos, like snapping photos and pictures and things. But he has this look. He has like these poses. Just like, why are you posing?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God.
He says, I had to bring, all my poses. I'm like, okay. And again, his energy his personality just feels so alive. He feels so full of life. He feels effervescent and excited. Feels like everything was before him. Everything was in front of him. Like, it feels like there were so many things happening prior to him dying. And it feels important to say that, because it feels also like there is somewhat of a shock around his death and a surprise around his death. Because I asked him, because he shows me like all these plans, cool stuff happening. And I'm like, wow, it's so amazing. And then it's like, boom, like abrupt. And okay. So all right. So he's just lowering the energy in my body a little bit, because he's trying to bring in what happened. I don't know what this is. Okay. Um so yeah, I'm not sure what is going on right now, but there's something happening. First of involved is what I want to say. So I don't know. It's like other people. Can you hear me? He's I don't know what this is, if there's like other people involved or what other things happen, but because I can see like other people as he's showing me like around him. So I don't know what this is. Um, and then it's like there's something going on in my mouth and the taste, like I'm taking pieces. But there's something like something in my mouth. I don't know why he's drawing me to my mouth and my throat. But they're feeling like very strange, almost like I don't even know, like something's going on with this area. And even like the taste in my mouth. So I don't know how you understand this in correlation to his death, but he's bringing through these different aspects of, yeah, what is it with he's referencing like a few friends. And this feels connected in some way around what happened. And I feel like it was like in an accident, like it's an accident. It was an accident.
It's an accident.
It's a pure freak accident. He says, I swear it was such an accident. So I don't know. How do you understand this, Chelsea? Yeah. Yeah. Take your time. Take your time. It's okay.
He got into a car accident with his friend. And it helps so much to hear that it was an accident, because like there's so much going on in my family, like with questions around it. So
okay, he says accident. That's so clear from him.
yeah.
And that doesn't always happen. The spirit will always bring in truth of what happened in the situation, right? Right. He makes me feel accident. And then there's something with someone drinking or taking something, because there's something going on here with that. I don't know if this is known or not known to anyone, but he's bringing this forward because I'm tasting like a drug or something in my mouth. Yeah.
Literally exactly what happened. So
okay.
Yeah, they were drinking before and taking stuff. Yeah.
Taking stuff. Okay.
And I remember there was like another drug involved, and I was there. I was too young to really like know what they were doing, but I was like there before it.
Yeah.
happened right before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, he says just validating that it's him, that he's coming through. This is what he wants to bring details to for you and for the family, he says. It's important to have some relief and to have some peace around certain things that the mind and questioning. Do you understand that? Yeah. Um, okay. He says, uh, okay. He says, I want you to know I wasn't in pain when we hit. This feels important for you to know. What he makes me feel, which is a very interesting thing because I had taken things, my body is very relaxed and wasn't anticipating the hit. And I know this sounds really weird to bring through, but he's wanting me to bring it through and say he was actually very relaxed because of what he had in his system. Quick. It wasn't like this suffering long process. It was just, he just kind of, he says, literally, he's like, I fell into it. I like fell into my death. I fell into the process. He says, I wasn't like there, in pain, screaming or anything like that. He says, I just went. And that feels important for you to know minutes before help came. Do you understand that? Yeah. Um, okay. Someone survived. Someone survived the crash. Yeah. He died. Someone survived because you just showed me the switching of the car and him sitting in a seat and then the driver sitting in a seat. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. He's he's talking about the person who was driving the vehicle. And okay, so I mean, I don't know if you know this, but he's showing me him and he's showing me him sort of having a disability or something with his legs that are different with his legs. So I don't know how you understand this because he just showed me injury like prior since the accident. Um,
Um, he doesn't, as far as I know, have one. I remember like right after he was like in crutches, and I know he
was in
had
okay.
some missing teeth and stuff, but I don't know. I
Okay.
don't think he has any sustained injuries.
Okay.
Mhm.
Because there's something around, again, this reading is for a lot of people. I'm just gonna say, because he's like, oh my gosh. But again, and you get to decide what you want to do with that. But he is talking to him and he is telling him because there's something around this young man at the time, and the injuries that he sustained still live with him and still creep up as chronic illness and chronic pain. And that is very much tied to the trauma of the incident and also the grief that he let go at all of what he has done. That it very much is, it's almost literally debilitating in his body because of that moment. Like he keeps going back to that moment. Even if he's kind of going through the day, he's constantly reliving that moment in his body and in pain. And he says to him, I don't want you to carry that. He says, what happened was a freak accident. He says, and honestly, we were just trying to have a good time. He says, we were just trying to have a good time. That's it. He says, we were young. He's like, kind of stupid. We made a mistake. No, it was going to cost my life. He says, and it feels important for whatever reason, he says, to pass this on to his friend and to let him know that. He says, he's talking to your mom right now. He says, Ma, he says, I know you're upset and I know you're angry at what happened. He says, but he says, I don't want you to hold that anger at this person so tightly. He says, Mom, it's just going to make you sick. He says, and I want you to be well with the time you have here that you have been given, all of you. He says, it is such a gift, and you'll see someday when you're with me, it is such a gift to be here. and so short. He just sent like chills through my body to all of you, all of you, all of you, all of you. He says, this moment is important because this is where the new chapter begins. He says, and I will hold all that's heavy now. He says, I love you so much, sis. He says, I'll always be your brother. He says, and I know about everything you've been doing. I see you. He says, I see you. You on several like different things. So I just want to bring this in because I don't know how you understand this. He just showed me like education. And then he showed me like you like furthering education. I don't know what this is, going to education, whatever it is, but celebrating like how far you've come in that and how much you've grown. And he's just like in awe of you and the ways that you have achieved. He says, not only success, he says, but the way that you move around with your heart and the way that you love people and the way that you really feel. He says, your power, sis, he says, you feel so deeply and widely and it's so powerful. He says, I, I felt things, but like you like had your heart on your sleeve, you know? I kind of like tucked mine a little bit in. It was like kind of cool, you know? I was like, cool. He says, but he says, you really let people know you love them and you care about them. And he says, that's so beautiful. He says, don't worry about what's coming up. He says, you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. You don't have to worry about it all right now. He says, it will make you sleep even less than you've been sleeping. So he says, don't worry about those things anymore. He says, I see. He's like, not to be creepy, but I do see you in your bedroom. You know, he's like, not like that. He's like, not like that. Okay. He's like, when you're worried and you're scared, he says, I'm there in that little corner over there. He says, that's where I am. He says, and I know you feel me. I know you feel me. he he just gave you, I don't know who, he brought in an animal, a giant bird actually just flew over you, like a huge hawk just circled you and flew over you. And the sign is a way that he influences the birds to talk to you. And when you see them, like you get these weird things like, oh, I feel him. Like, I think I feel it. That's him. That's him. Like you can trust that. Because he comes through you through nature. He comes through you when you're quiet.
Yeah.
Speaks to you. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I don't know why he's mentioning this right now. I'm just going to give it to you. I have no idea what this is, but he just showed me. I feel like I'm looking at like really nice Nike sneakers. I have no idea why. Like a pair of shoes. So I don't know if y'all have a pair of his shoes still or something that like he wore a million times, but he just showed me these like classic sneaker things. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what this means.
I don't know what that would be. He wore his Converse like he never took off.
Okay.
Constantly.
Yeah. It just feels like there's these emblematic like shoes that he wore that are just like his shoes. And it's something in the memory of him. Again, I don't know. It's like you either have this or you have them yourself, or if you choose to like if you're thinking about getting a pair, I don't know what it is, but something around the shoes, like the honoring of, again, I don't know if it's you or someone else in the family, but he wants to pass that along because it feels like a little nudge to him and how he lived his life and what was important to him. And also the risk taker he was. So he's showing me I feel like I'm on a skateboard right now. like on a skateboard, and I'm like trying out tricks and stuff, and I'm like, what are you doing right now? Like, this is scary. And he's like, no, it's fun. Like, he's just like trying all these fun things and like very adventurous. And that very much, he says, is part of his spirit. It was always part of his spirit. He says, I was never not going to take a risk. It was going to happen at some time, he says. Nothing to fear in taking risks yourself, sis. He says, you can trust those risks. You don't have to be afraid that they're going to happen or something's going to happen to you like it did to me. He says, you can live loud. He says, and I'm going to help you do that. And that feels really, really important. He says, you have a voice that needs to be heard. He says, and the world needs what you have to offer. He says, and I know you've been scared to share it. He says, but I'm going to help you share that. He just placed this, like, I don't know what this is, sort of a necklace or a chain around you. How do you understand that?
Well, after he passed, one of the things that I have is his little like Buddha necklace, which it was like a little leather necklace that he used to wear. So, of the many things that I took, but that I wonder if that's what that is. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he just placed it as something you have of his. So I would say a necklace or something that you put around your neck, but and something that would have been his. And he's grateful that you wear it. He's grateful that you have it. He's grateful that you honor him in that way, and that keeps him close. And he's okay. He goes, there's so much I want to say.
What? He said there's got to be a part two.
Like, he's like, there's got to be a part two. I got so much to say. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I got to talk about everything that's over here and everything that's happening. I'm like, so I don't know if you, usually when spirit wants to go into all that stuff, it's because we want to know. We want to know like what else they're up to. But he's make reference to the fact that he's laughing. He's like, I was right. So I don't know what that means, but as he says that he was right, he's showing me the other side, and he's showing me infinite, I don't even know if I could say this in words. It's like infinite love and infinite expansion. There are millions of lights and stars everywhere. And there's just this possibility of anything happening where he's at. And it's just beautiful and so peaceful. And something that he always said he knew it existed here in this realm, had forgotten. He didn't really know. And he said once he crossed over, he remembered everything again. And he was like, I knew it. Because it feels like he shows me his life here and the ways that he would talk about things that were so like out there and elevated and like just, interesting.
Yes.
Hey, like maybe he says, I was right. I was right. Do you understand? How do you understand this?
This is like insane. Because he was always like, okay, so our family, like my grandma, the one who came up earlier, she was like really into like weird magic and stuff. And so my brother, when he was younger, like picked that up. And my mom, like all of us kind of had that in just a little bit. But I feel like out of anybody, he was like the wildest. He got like books on like lots of different stuff, and like just he didn't have anything he believed in, but I feel like he knew that there was more and there were spirits in the world, and yes. We talked about that together. So yeah.
Yes. He said every single thing he did was preparation for where he is now.
Yeah.
And he knew that on some kind of level. Yeah. He said, I want to thank you for always going down those weird holes with me. Talking about all this.
He used to scare me when I was little. I'm not gonna lie. He would always tell me ghost stories, and I was like, don't tell me that. But then it like became a part of it. Yeah.
I could see him like in a basement, like trying to be like spooky and like trying to find spooky things. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I don't even want to know. He's like, let's go ghost hunting. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Again, just validating who he is, even without his body. His spirit is still here. His energy, his life force, that has no limit, is here still with you until you all come. And then he says, we all go do something fun again. Okay. Yeah. So he's turning to you right now, and he's wanting to just open up the space to ask him or anything that's coming through right now. He's just open for it.
God, I don't know where to start. Like,
it's okay, no pressure.
Is he with other people? Is he alone? Is he happy? Like, I mean, I guess he's in another realm that's beautiful. I had questions in my head, and now I'm like, okay.
You're good. No pressure. This happens to everyone, so it's okay. Well, he's answering you back, so I'll just go. Whenever you talk, he's kind of responding to you instantly. First thing that he wants to say is that he's so happy. He's like, it's not even a word here. He's like, because it just is. It's just is. Like, you just are. And he says, when I transitioned, he said, there wasn't a lot that I had to navigate, he says, as far as the different dimensions. Navigate different things depending upon what they've worked through, or let's say if they had harmed a lot of people. He says, I didn't really have any of that. I was able to go into a very loving place pretty quickly. He says, he's like, I was kind of looking forward to going to those creepy places, but I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I can't. I'm like, I've never heard a spirit say I want to go through those realms. Anyways, he says, so he was able to kind of go to this very beautiful realm, he says, and he says, well, they're not people, but he says there are energies that are around me. They don't form. He says, we're all sort of lights. And he says, even now, he says, Ash, I don't know why he's talking to me in third person, but he says, Ash is talking to my energy body, my spirit. But Ash knows that there's not a body here anymore. But the body comes through so you can know and feel. But he says, now I'm free. He says, I travel a lot and I go to different places, different galaxies. He says, I love exploring. I love trying to figure stuff out, and I have so many questions. And he says, it's wild. He's like, as soon as you have a question, go there. He's like, you ask the question, then you just go there. Like, he's just like, it's so hard to explain, says. He's like, it's crazy. He says, but I am so free from my body, he says, now, and I'm grateful. He says, I'm sad that, he says, I'm sad when you, he says, but I know that I am still close to you, just in a different way.
Yeah.
He says, and I really make my presence known so that y'all can feel me. He just showed me like all of these different ways that it comes in the house. So a lot of weird things that happen. I don't know if this is like in your own house or the family house, but there's like a lot of weird things happening. Like, I can hear like noises, but then I go and check and no one's there. There's like the door is open. I swear I closed it. There's like all of these kind of like ghost-like things happening, that he's like chucked over and very much like up to. So I don't know how you understand this, but he makes me feel like he's always playing tricks. Like, he's always doing all these funny things on you all. And he's like, sometimes they get it. And sometimes they're just like, oh, I don't know. That's weird. I don't know. Like,
I feel like so before he passed away, we literally had a conversation where he was like, if I was a ghost, I would scare you. Because he used to scare me all the time. And I was shocked because I was like, nothing happened. Like, and I was like waiting for all these things to happen. I was like, can you scare me now? Like, dream fast. But one weird thing that happened like right after he passed is our
Yeah.
phone at our childhood house would ring, and we would just randomly ring, and then we would answer it, and it was just like these weird noises for
Yeah.
like for months. So
Oh yeah, him.
well, that was him.
Yeah, him. He's like,
Yeah,
that was me.
yeah, I
He
believe.
said I could work with the energy because I was more closer to the earth.
Mm.
Um, and he's still close, but he shows me this time, especially on his death, that he was so close to you all. I mean, like he wanted to be. He chose to hold you all still for a while. And then as time goes on, I can see his energy expanding and then his field and then exploring and coming back and exploring and coming back. And so there's these moments too that it feels like he's everywhere and also then coming back. Yeah. Yeah. um, so I'll bring through this final thing that he just naming as we come to a close. Wait, who is this? Okay. He showed me like a dog 3 times. So I don't know who this dog is, but I'm like, I'm trying to ignore this dog and he keeps like showing me this dog. And I'm like, what is with this dog that you are playing with right now? So I don't understand this small animal that's like running.
Oh, it's small.
He's showing me like a smallish dog. It's like not a huge one. It's like a little cute lap dog, like a little sweet lap dog. Do you understand this?
Probably his dog Chico, who has passed on. That
Okay.
was his dog. Yeah.
Okay.
And he had
Okay.
it. He passed.
Okay. Because he's like, it's just running around everywhere around him and just validating that they're together and that they're very much like companions on the other side. And that feels important to name. Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Um, I just want to turn it to you before we close and just ask you if there's anything, ask him anything you want that's here. Yeah.
I guess I have one last question.
Yes, please.
I don't know if he has
Yeah.
an idea of a direction for me, but
Yeah.
I've been really lost. So I just don't know if he has like one.
Sure, for sure. Let me just see. Okay. So this is very interesting right now. And I don't know how you understand this. I don't know anything about your background, but he's showing me sort of like traditional path and like learning. And then all of a sudden he shows me like going off and doing something totally out of the box. And I'm going to say this too, even out of like what's even like what the family would be like, oh, that's interesting. Like, what are you doing? So I don't know if you're feeling that right now, but he's kind of showing me these like this path that's like this track that I've been on. And then I'm like, I don't think this is it. Like, I don't think this is the thing. I think I want to do something like way over here. And there's a lot of support from him and emphasis again about following your North Star, and following your own path and what is lighting you up.
Okay.
So important as far as what you want to do in the world and the work you want to do in the world.
Mm-hmm.
There is an aliveness to this, I'm going to say, more radical path. And there is more energy and there's more life force and there's also more collaboration. I see you in with others in the work that you're going to do, and that being really important part of the process and not so like in my own little isolation. I don't know why I'm saying a bunker. It's kind of extreme, but that's what I feel like. I feel like I'm like in my own little, like, I'm like, okay, well, I guess this works, but like, I feel like something's missing. So I don't know how you understand. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Because I
Okay.
love being alone, and
Yep.
I'm interested in like spirituality and all of
Yeah.
that. So I'm just like wanting to break
Yeah.
through the little bubble.
Yes. There's a lot in the spiritual arts that's in your field. And you deciding kind of how you want to do with that. So I don't know what it is with like therapeutic arts or spirituality and therapy or
Yeah.
all these different avenues, like somatic, dropping in, like all these different things, and nature. There's a lot of things here for you that are not on the path, but would help so many people come back to their bodies, come back to their safety after tremendous loss, after tremendous grief, after tremendous pain. So the crumbs your brother's giving you, if you will, around things that you've already sensed and felt and known in your body and your being, but maybe just don't even know where to start. So he is saying one last thing around that is that follow the nudge to take the class or to enroll in something like a workshop or something you've been thinking about. Like, just do it. He's like, just think of my energy
Okay.
doing it. Like, I'm in. Let's do this, right? Because
Okay.
something will come out of that creative process and that place that's gonna catapult you into being like, whoa, something is alive in me from this. Like, I'm shook in a good way. Yeah. Do you understand that?
I mean, I I I just feel like I'm stopping myself from moving at all. And I,
Yeah.
yeah, I just need to get out of my head and start doing stuff that I'm actually interested in. So yeah,
Yes, he says it's one small step. He says start small and
yeah,
just take that little step, that little class, that little, he says those things are what will kind of put you into motion towards that new path and seeing actually what it is that you're most curious about, what actually draws you.
yeah,
Um, and the second thing, the last thing he's saying too, is that um, there's something around you and and getting outside of your comfort zone. So he's mentioning like sort of in the future, it feels like traveling and going to new places for new experiences. And also, he's like, I'm gonna be with you the whole time, so you don't need to worry about things. Okay, it's like he just showed me you in the plane, and I feel like I'm really nervous. I'm like, whoa, God, I'm gonna play it. I want to do this, and he's like right there next to you, being like, it's gonna be so much fun. We're gonna get off. We're gonna do this stuff. I don't know if you have fear of flying or traveling, but yeah, he's letting you know it's gonna be okay, and that this new chapter is so different than what you've been in, and it's scary. He says it's different, it's new. He says, and you can trust that. Do you understand that?
I do.
Good, good, yeah. Um, I want to take this moment to thank your grandmother for coming in first in a full way of like literally bringing us into a beautiful, peaceful field and for soothing you. Very interesting that she came forth to soothe you first and open the space. I'm amazed always that spirits have a plan that's much bigger than what we can think of, and then made the space for your brother so that you could feel ease, you could feel relaxed with him. So I want to thank your brother for his huge spirit just coming in hot right off the bat at the door. Wow, what a spirit. Wow, what a being. And wow, what a brother you still have in spirit. And I send so much love to you and your for this devastating loss. And I hope that this serves as some balm for all of you as you continue to be in the grief and transform the grief in what it is to be without him and in a different form with him in this way. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. That like my expectation, I was just like didn't know exactly. Like I just I'm like sweating. I can't believe it came through. I was just like hoping.
Oh, you're so welcome, Chelsea. And it's truly an honor. Thank you for trusting me with the souls of your loved ones. And, as far as just closing integration goes, these are huge experiences. You'll have the recording to go over. Afterwards, I say if you have the availability, rest, don't do anything, drink lots of water, just be tender with yourself. You were just in such a loving, open portal, and the world. So being able to protect yourself and what you need, and surrounding yourself with people who can kind of be tender with you in this experience. And then noticing signs. They tend to spike up after a reading. So I say people to go for a little walk around the neighborhood and just get some fresh air, and watching your dreams. Our loved ones tend to come in the dream portals open. So I'm hoping you have a lovely integration. And again, thank you so very much for being able to channel for you today. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And thank you to my brother and my grandma. Thank you.
You're so welcome.